happening, guys? It's your girl Mina. You know what it is, man. Welcome back to my channel. And today it's normally me and Saeed, and it's normally me and Marcel. But I thought today let me switch it up a bit and let me get both of them on together. Of course, we've got a bit to talk about because Manchester United playing Nottingham Forest tomorrow in the FA Cup. Erik ten Hag's presser comments, potential rumours. I'm going to say rumours because there's nothing really concrete about Sir Jim Ratcliffe having other managers in mind and not fully sold on Erik ten Hag. Firstly, Marcel, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to the conversation as usual.
Saeed, how you doing, bro?
No, I can't complain. Life is good. You know what I'm saying to you? Life away from Man United is always good. It's when you talk about Man United, then we end up just beefing each other. We end up just shouting at each other. But now, hopefully, it's going to be a good show. Smash a like button on the video. And yeah, let's see what we talk about today.
Now, Erik, I feel like it's only right we start with... I actually say let's start with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and potentially not being sold on Erik ten Hag. Obviously, this is... I'm gonna be very confident. I'm gonna try be not confident in the exact terms that we use because you know what it is, man. It's paper talk. Most of the time, it's paper talk. But I feel like there could definitely be some truth to it, especially with his comments when he did his interview last week, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, when he came in, and he was asked about Erik ten Hag, and he said he wasn't going to talk about it, and he wasn't going to talk about how Erik ten Hag has spent money in the last 2 years. I've said this time and time again. I said, when a new ownership comes in, a new regime, if you want to call it, they've got their managers in mind, or manager in particular. And in the last 24 hours, we've been linked to Inzaghi. We've been linked to Zidane most recently. We've obviously been linked to De Zerbi as well. I've seen talk about Nagelsmann. Unfortunately, Saeed, I haven't seen any rumors about Hansi Flick. But you never know. That could be another name that pops up. Saeed, what do you think about that? And how realistic do you think it is that United will probably go down another path for a different type of manager?
I think it's real soon, man. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I think it's really, really happening. Listen, INEOS have never backed Ten Hag. They've never come out and said we're fully behind him. They've never mentioned that. You know what I'm saying to you? I feel like that's a very, very key point in that aspect. And I feel like ultimately it's a fresh start. You know what I mean? Like, I'm moving to a new flat now or new house. I'm getting new furniture. I'm buying new things. I'm not keeping anything from that previous house to my kind of vibe. So I feel like that's the way they're gonna kind of go about it with Ten Hag. Listen, they'll thank him for his services, and I think ultimately they'll just realize it is very, very bad. Yeah, he's got a lot of injuries, and yeah, things haven't gone his way with certain things happening, but overall they'll look at it thinking, we've got to get better from these players. We've got to get more from these players. We've got to demand more. We've got to be a serious team. And I don't think they can afford to have a fan base that's so split on a manager. They have to have a manager who everyone would believe in as their reign starts. It's almost like, for me, they've sacked Richard Arnold. They've sacked so many people within the football club. It's like now they need to tackle the situation. I'm not saying they need to make a decision now. I'm just saying you've got to look at it towards the end of the season and realize, boy, this isn't right, man. You know what I mean? They can feel the atmosphere in the stadium. If you guys go to the games, the atmosphere is anxious. You can see, we're hearing people saying, pass the ball forward. I mean, I've never been to Old Trafford on Saturday where I've heard forward. And I'm like, these are such a basic elements of a team. But if that's not being coached into a team, or if that's not been, told by a manager to say, right, come on, do the basics and fundamentals. If the manager can't get the best out of that, I think the writing's on the wall. You know what I mean? So I generally think, for me, they're looking at it and they've got a lot of time to. There's no rush. There's no kind of making a rash decision as to who they want. They have got now 4 months of the season left, a little bit. They can make some big decisions. So carefully assess it, carefully choose your man. And I don't see how they don't sack this manager, because there's a lot of flaws in his game, and I feel like ultimately it's been found out, personally, for me.
Marcel, obviously, I know what your answer is going to be, but do you feel like it's a bit rash or it's a bit harsh to kind of pull the plug on this project that he's building? Because Erik ten Hag has also said in the media how excited he is to work with INEOS, and he's had very positive conversations with Sir Jim and Sir Davis Bradford. It's been reported today that Umar Barada has actually started laying the foundation of his actual role as a CEO and been making calls and getting involved, even though he's on gardening leave with Manchester City. Do you think it's a bit harsh to just pull the plug on a project that clearly could work, but is clearly not working right now?
Yeah, definitely. Extremely early. I mean, we're going to be going into a similar cycle that we've gone to before. Sacking two managers every 2 years or every 3 years or so, some 2, some 3, just going into the same kind of pattern without INEOS actually showing us that they can, implement a footballing direction and it be successful. This manager has had one season that's been good and another season that thus far has been bad, and, can still claw it back. But I just feel like it will be extremely, premature for us to allow someone that purchased only 27.7% of the club to have such a hold on the direction of in which it's going, simply because he wants to change the manager that's only done, half a season's work. And I don't think he wants to change the manager, by the way. I think everything, for me, how I'm looking at everything is in a much more positive way, in the sense that Omar Barada is somebody that's, from the same school as Ten Hag, which maybe you could assume that we're finally trying to shift towards the Ajax football properly. But we'll see what happens. There's so many different avenues on which this can go down. Similar to what Saeed said, that they've got plenty time to judge this. I'm not saying, there's also a possibility where we lose so many more football matches and we end up with 15, 16 losses for the season. And it's clear and obvious then that you have to get rid of a manager. I've accepted that already, and I've already said De Zerbi, and lo and behold, we're looking at De Zerbi. Omar Barada might have, seen De Zerbi as the heir to throne at Man City, and the way that he, promotes football and the styles and the patterns that he likes to build, could be very useful, at Manchester United under our structure, with him at the realm, Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth, that is, in working in tandem with a De Zerbi. But Ten Hag's mentioned before that he's happy and very capable of working by himself, which he was, and was successful kind of doing that by himself-ish, under Richard Arnold and co. In the first season, he was successful. And then in the second season, it's been a capitulation because of mitigating circumstances. But he also said he's very happy to work within a group as well, and that would include INEOS. So for me, would be very premature. He's got a good core or good group of young youth players there that he's working with, and that he's, been able to bring through into the first team. And with that culture continually, growing stronger, it looks like every season. I think, we'll be really missing a trick if we don't give him the next season at least.
I watched his presser today, and I'm going to share this with you guys. I'm going to share this with you guys because I obviously want, this is probably Marcel's first time seeing this as well. Shout out to United View. You lot can see that I'm taking it directly from their Twitter page. He had some words for Carragher, and Marcel, me and you have had some back and forth today about this particular picture, and it's from the Fulham game. We're gonna talk about that, but just on what Ten Hag has said about Jamie Carragher, analysis. He says, first of all, some analysts are very objective in their comments, very good advice. Some are very subjective. Jamie Carragher, from the first moment on, has criticised, and now he wants to make his point. And then he goes on to say, probably in the first half an hour, yeah, he had a point. Fulham in their midfield setup surprised us a little bit, and then we had to find the solutions. After an hour, we found the solutions. Now, what he's referencing is this picture here. This is 30 seconds into kickoff against Fulham. And I mentioned this on my stream actually after the game, and I was saying that it seems like Manchester United just vacate a lot of space. And I think it's actually unfair to suggest that this is possibly this game only, because I've seen this so many times throughout the season. There's countless games I could give examples, and I think probably one of the most damning ones was Arsenal. It was Wolves, Spurs, Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. That's just off the top of my head. Now, I think Ten Hag is clutching at straws. I'll be honest. I think he's clutching at straws here in regards of what Carragher said. Obviously, Carragher is sometimes a bit biased with his analysis, and we've seen last year him and Gary Neville having back-to-back arguments about, Lisandro Martinez and whether Erik Ten Hag was cut out for the job. But Marcel, you and I have been having back-to-backs in it about this particular thing. Please, can you explain to me your reasoning as to why this is more of a technical issue rather than a coaching issue? Because that's what you kind of alluded to me when we were talking about it.
Yeah, technical as in, the player's understanding of temperament. technical in terms of the players understanding the manager's instructions specifically, and technical almost in terms of as well the players' capabilities, what they're actually capable of doing. So in the image there, you can see that the 10 that he's alluding to, because it starts off in the middle of the pitch a lot more centrally than first, and he's highlighted Kobe there. But at some point, and at that point now that is at currently, there's Maguire there. You can see his right hand's pointing out to the Pereira is. That's basically Maguire's job in that left defensive mid spot that I would call it there. That's his man. It originally starts off being Kobe's man, but because Kobe's like gone to the next phase of play or to the turnovers, something that we do with that's our philosophy, the turnover side of things. So he's setting up the turnover here. That's why he's committed himself into the forward line, or a part of that 5 or 6 that normally commit forward. But in that moment, Ten Hag, if you see the presser against Brentford, I believe, post-match against Brentford, Ten Hag's talking about defenders stepping in and knowing the moment of when to go and get the ball and move in front for the ball. That in that 30 seconds into the game, because this is how Ten Hag wants to play. Like I've been saying, he wants to play half court. He wants to kind of play the game in their half. That in that moment, Maguire is meant to step onto Pereira and see that pass. I don't think there's even any danger from that. It goes out of play anyway. In that phase of play, nothing even happened. So Carragher's just highlighting.
But I was going to say, whether something happens or not, it's happened multiple times throughout that game where we actually got caught on the counter quite a few times from vacating a lot of space. Or your favorite thing, playing the 2-1-7, which I've spoken about lots of times on my stream, how I don't like that setup. I don't like the 2-1-7 setup. I don't like the 3-1-6 setup, especially when we're just vacating the midfield space. And in my opinion, a lot of football games are won in the midfield. And I just can't understand how that is a technical issue rather than a coaching issue, because that's instructions at the end of the day that they're taking from the manager and the coaching staff.
Nah, so again, you've missed it. So if it's being applied correctly, then Maguire's on Pereira. It's very simple, and he does that against Traore, but because technically he doesn't have the abilities to play in that area of the pitch or on the halfway line. We saw that by the way Ten Hag treated him last season and just wouldn't play him, because he wanted footballers to play on the halfway line. For example, if that's Martinez, where Maguire is in that picture, he's right next to Pereira. If that's even Todibo, he's right next to Pereira. But if it's Varane, he's a sweeper. His nature is to drop back, so he drops back and he hasn't got the legs from the halfway line. If it's Maguire, he tends to drop back. If it's Lindelof, hasn't got the ability to play on the halfway line, hasn't got the pace, he drops back. Then their first nature is to defend the space behind them, not to attack. And Ten Hag wants proactive footballers on the front foot, attacking the spaces. So once the organism of the whole team understands that and guards the spaces quicker and gets onto the spaces quicker, you have a better shaping team. This is an issue of player profiles. The other managers had the same kind of issues, but they couldn't even play the counter-attacking football at a Premier League and Champions League winning level. Ole had the issue, Mourinho had the issue. Ralph tried to play a different style of football with the 4-2-2, but again, the way that he wanted to implement it didn't have the legs and the energy to do it, didn't have the IQ to do it and get into the wide areas quick enough. So at any kind of level that we're playing at, none of the 25-man squad are gonna ever win the Premier League or the Champions League, like, because they're not good enough, basically. That's the best way.
What it will say that.
By the way,
he laughed a few times.
By the way, Haaland's has scored 2. He's warming up nicely. Haaland has scored 2 goals in the first 18
problem,
minutes.
Man. So that's Sunday's problem. That's not a problem for me today.
But what I've heard there, I don't listen, Mina. We can't accept this, Mina. This is unacceptable, because you know what it is. Even if Martinez is stepping in, I've seen Martinez get bullied off the ball. I've seen Martinez lose out and been rash, getting in and stepping in field. I don't mind it, Marcel, here and there. Teams pressing in and teams almost, having that risk element. I want us to have that, you know what I mean? And it has worked out a few times this season where we've won the ball high up the pitch. I think Højlund had done it against Aston Villa. We do it and we win the ball successfully. But there's context to this. 30 seconds in, you're setting the precedent. That is a wrong precedent to set, because it then means there's a lack of organisation with the team. It just gives a careless feel. It really, really does. And also, you doing that at the start, there's no pressure to win. The game's not won in the first minute or 2 minutes. The game's not won then. I feel like for me, when we set up, yeah, you should press, but press smartly. We don't press smartly. Look at the Brighton game, for example, when we played that diamond formation. Rashford tried to press, and then left Eriksen exposed in I think was he playing in the middle or the double? I don't know where he was
He's
playing, but
playing
he was
right
playing
centre mid.
the
Playing
diamond.
right centre mid.
Yeah, right centre mid. Yeah, so I was like, hold on a minute, he ain't got the legs. He ain't got the legs. What are you doing? Sometimes that's why I said it on my match reaction. It's car crash football. It really, really is, because when it goes badly, it can really go badly. And that's why I think Ten Hag, yeah, we want risk and you get your reward, but at what cost? Because A, you're seeing injuries now. B, you're seeing a lack of control in midfield. And C, it also, people like Casemiro get bored. Casemiro gets bored in games because he's like, what are we doing here? And then he starts to do some mad shit. And
He
then
does
people
some
complain
unhinged
like,
stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry?
No, he does unhinged
It's
stuff. It's just something
Yeah,
clicks in his
unhinged
brain.
stuff. And you're like, yeah, because he's like, yo, I'm bored here, man. I can't be doing this. Man can't be just not having the ball. And he starts doing flicks. And even Kobe Mino was so, for me, I'm not going to lie to you, that was probably the worst Kobe Mino game he's had in a United shirt, because he was getting a bit bored. He was like, I'm taking my time with the ball here because I feel like, broski, I'm telling you now, that sort of football the players don't enjoy. I see Dalot going mad at players. He was going mad. Everyone was animated. You see Maguire telling people to relax on the ball. It's such a mismatch of what we're trying to do. And I just think, for me, the style of what Mina just showed you there, I just don't like it. In aspects, I'm like, yeah, cool. But in terms of what we're trying to do, on the long run, it has no sustainability. It has no longevity. And I feel like ultimately, you're going to have more of these losses than you get. And you see the results. The results are shown for it. 10 losses this season, 15 in all competition. That is crazy, man. That is crazy.
We could end the season. Sorry, we could end the season with 15 to 20 losses, depending on how.
More than Moyes. More than Moyes.
If we ended the season with,
So that
say,
means he's statistically the worst manager since Fergie, if he
say
does that.
Say we end the season, or the league with 15 losses. Is that acceptable? Because that's near enough to 50% of the games in
Marcel it is. To Marcel it is.
If
to Marcel it is.
Like, so where do I even start? So the Brighton game was a different formation. So it's like, in that game alone, when you reference that game, going back on what you said, that is Ten Hag actually being tactically outclassed by De Zerbi. That's what happened there. And I think that was even at home, and he tried to do something different and whatever. And then where do I even go to again? Like I just think we need to give it time. On the 15 losses, it's the way that Ten Hag plays, the way that he's playing. Even like you guys just referenced it, 30 seconds into the game, and look how many bodies he wants to commit into the opposition's half to win the ball back. It is sustainable if you get the right footballers doing it. And they need to hunt as a pack and as a team. They haven't got the organism. In football, you cannot cover the 100% of the pitch. It's impossible. So you have to learn how to cover areas as a team better. As a team, they need to be fitter. As a team, they need to be more mobile. As a team, they need to have a better temperament of when to share the ball, where to be, when to be. But a lot of these players, unfortunately, to do it at the highest level, to win the Premier League against Man City, to win people that are already so far in the way that they're already playing, it's going to take years. So Jim's already told you guys. So if you think that a new manager's going to come in and pattern in something different, forget that. It's going to take years anyway. So Jim's told you 3, and he's trying to be nice about it. So
but that's 3 years in terms of catching Man City. We're not asking to catch Man City in 3 years. We're just asking for a style and an identity. We're asking for a manager to know what he wants to do. That's what we want. That's what we want.
We have one. You're seeing footballers that can't implement it correctly. Even the ones that I thought were our guys, who I thought I believe in Bruno. He can, but in the way that we want to play it, it might be hindering us. Again, even with Rashi, the way that we need the wingers to play, it might be hindering us. I don't know. I haven't really put.
Why does he play Rashford up front when he knows he's not a striker?
Because he's done it before and it's worked when we were playing a little bit more conservative football last season. We was playing more to attack the space in front of us. Now we're already starting with a high press and suffocating teams, especially when Ten Hag thinks that we're superior to the team. He's showing you the structure. He's trying to do a turnover. He's committing all the bodies forward. We just don't have the players to do it. So, like I've been saying to Mina as well, it's like he has to go back to pragmatic football. It's the only way he will get through it. The way against Burnley, the 1-0, the way against Liverpool. It's these kind of performances that you're going to see if you're going to pick up results. But if he wants to play Ten Hag football under the ambience at home, he wants 11 players in the opposition's half to suffocate them and win the football. Look how much risk he's leaving in his half. But these footballers can't play that style of football. They can't do that. Barcelona in their prime were able to do that. That's the highest caliber of football, where you have everybody. You're shortening the pitch. He's playing as he means to go on, which is something that you guys have been asking for.
But the thing is, though, we're not asking for certain players to adhere to the system. We're asking the whole squad to adhere to the system. There's not just one or two players that affect one system. Like it is affecting everyone. And the way a team is shaped up to be is you have to be coherent as a team. This is under his influence. We didn't ask him to play Lindelof there. He could have kept regular. He could have kept certain things to be in his way. But yet he's chosen to specifically choose certain players to be part of his tenure, and that's down to him. We don't tell him to pick the starting lineups. We didn't tell him to play forcing on the right and have no effect on the game. We didn't tell him to do certain things on the football pitch. Like, these are down to him. When he's telling Eriksen to come on and play the double pivot, is that down to personnel or is that down to him? We didn't tell him to play that in a double pivot and leave us exposed in there. Like, that for me is on him. So a lot of decisions, I get what you mean in terms of Bruno isn't part of it. I think even Miller can agree with Bruno Rashford are not the long-term plans of Man United. But ultimately, there's certain factors that he is deciding to do. Like even Kobe Maino's position on the weekend wasn't great as well. Bruno Fernandes, the lack of accountability. Has he ever gone onto him and said, listen, I want you to do this and this. What are you doing? I don't think it is. I think he lets him have free reign. And that is down to Ten Hag's man management. Why are you allowing him to do this? And if he isn't, why don't you sub him off? But he never subs him off. So as much as we can say, the players are a problem, but he can control the narrative. It's down to Ten Hag to control the narrative. You're the manager. And that's why I believe a new manager comes in and then will control the narrative. I really, really do. I really think a new manager coming in right now will control the narrative, because I feel like for me, the ones that we're linked with as well, Nagelsmann. Do you watch Nagelsmann, by the way? Have you seen his football? Okay, well,
didn't Nagelsmann struggle at Bayern Munich because player power and
he did struggle. He did struggle
because of player power, not because of tactics.
He was caught in two minds. Yeah, he was caught in two minds. He was caught in the fact that he had to win, but he was also caught in the fact that he wanted to play his own style. So it was a clash of identity. He wanted to bring in the main players, but he also couldn't do it because at the end of the day, when you look at Leipzig's style, they are a pressing machine. At Leipzig, his teams and Hoffenheim, they pressed and pressed and pressed. So I don't think half of his team are making it under him. De Zerbi? Hell no. Bruno Fernandes giving the ball away when they're a team that keeps possession? Hell no. So I feel like bringing a new manager in, I think you will get that style. And also, you've got a manager who's come in and all of his basically said he doesn't want to play Ten Hag the Ajax way. So ultimately, we've kind of been left one-handed, really, because at the end of the day,
I think that's
we
his
are
fault,
the
though, that he
limited.
can't. Can I just say quickly, like on Erik Ten Hag not playing the Ajax way, I personally think that like we could talk about the technical ability in the Ajax team that he had in comparison to this team now. Now that there's big difference, but I would also counter argue that and say that Ten Hag was losing players every summer transfer window at Ajax. He was losing key players. That after that 2019 Champions League run, literally it was a car boot sale. Everyone came to buy people. De Ligt, De Jong, etc. Van der Beek left eventually as well. So he lost players, but the style of football didn't change. I don't know if that's down to it's down to technical ability, but also it's down to the manager's philosophy and implementing that, because he's had I don't want to say like a merry-go-round of different players, but he did have different players across the course of his time at Ajax, and the style that he played didn't change. It did not change.
Yeah. And also
when he came to United, he's saying, I'm not here to play Ajax football, which I completely understand, because I said, Marcel, I don't know if you remember, but I said this a long time ago on the Full View. I said that I don't want him to play Ajax football because this is not Ajax, it's Manchester United, but play the style and the philosophy that you
would have had more respect, though. He would have had more respect from the fans. I would have been Ten Hag in. I literally would have been Ten Hag in if he was playing Ajax football. I still would be right now because I'd be like, you know what, Dan? You know what, Marcel? I believe this process hasn't finished yet, or I believe this style of football it's on the mend. But because I don't see it, and I actually think that this football is actually worse than Ollie. It's worse than Van Gaal. It's worse than probably Mourinho's. To be honest with you, if I'm being really truly honest with you, like I generally feel like, what's the point of me waiting around when I know it's a detriment to the way Man United play because we're leaving ourselves exposed, and B, it's the proof's in the pudding this season. Out of the Champions League, and we haven't played good football since January. January, February is the last time Man United played good football. Barcelona at home, you were there, Marcel. That was the last game. I was in awe of the way we played because I can't lie to you, that we dominated for large parts of that game. We dominated, man, especially second half. Ante came on, gave the newness alive. Like we were battling, we understood the system. And I was like, yo, I believe in this manager. I come out into the ground thinking we're going in the right direction. And then slowly and slowly started to fade away. And that was where I was like, yeah, man, I'm not really feeling this, man. Not really feeling this.
Injuries is a massive thing, and I know you guys don't like to hear it, but they're humans, and this is a real thing in football, and it really decimates the squad massively if you really take in the amount of football matches that these players have missed.
But we were getting
and then in terms of leaving space,
Can I give you a stat? Can I give you a stat? Apparently, with Martinez, we've lost 4, I think 1-2 this season. I drew.
Hold on, someone put that stat in the chat earlier. I think it is. Martinez this season, 10 games, 5 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats.
So,
but it's completely different with Martinez, though, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
So just on that stat, that's wonderful. I don't look at football from that particular lens. I've said organism today, so it takes a squad. So what about the stat? And you guys can laugh.
I'm laughing at it, bro. I'm laughing at the word that you're using. I'm not laughing at
organism.
Explain
the context because you can't use them words, man.
You can because that's what football is.
Organism. Any living biological entity such as
biology.
An animal, plant, fungus,
man.
or bacteria.
We're not doing biology.
I don't understand the concept of using.
So what I'm trying to say is that we have to move together as a one whole unit. You cannot cover the whole picture. When you're saying, when Saeed says to me, "Oh, we're leaving space," on a football pitch, you always leave space, guys. You're always going to leave space. Like I keep saying, you can't cover the whole of the football pitch. So that particular clip is showing that we're leaving space in the middle. Are we deliberately trying to leave space in the middle? No, because if you look at what our manager says, he talks about midfield, the defensive line stepping in and squeezing the spaces and distances between each other. So we have to look at it as, how do we cover the pitch as a construction, as a complete group of 11 players, and cover the pitch properly? That was what Carragher was highlighting in those 30 seconds, which didn't even cause a problem because nothing happened of it. But it did cause a problem when we did try to copy Ten Hag's system with Maguire going flipping high on Traore, but he doesn't have the abilities to play that far away from his goal. So even when we do have Ten Hag's system and it's working to a degree in some sort of correct way or shape, we don't have the abilities. Eriksen can't run nowhere and do his ball regains or do his recovery runs, and Maguire can't play on the halfway line. That's 2 footballers already that are surplus to requirements at the football club.
Don't you think in that situation, Eriksen or Maguire should have just yanked him back?
But it is a player profile issue. When you look at everything that they bring to a football match, they're not capable of dealing with that situation. And that's a massive issue that Ten Hag has to his armory. He doesn't have footballers that are capable of doing what he wants to do. So then he has to go and play how Ole and Mourinho were playing.
Big up to Lincoln Lawyer with the super chat. Says, big up the panel. Mina, don't threaten to shut down the channel like Fleck. It says, Marcel, what will it take for you to question this manager? Serious question. Have you ever questioned the manager? I
have. And I can't believe people pretend like I don't. I was one of the first people to say his in-game management is poor. What he does inside of the 90 minutes is poor. But then at the same time, the reason why I see that he does it is because he's too patient. He's more patient than all of us. He's like, and you lot laughed at me before, Mina, in the full view when I said it, but Ten Hag's the most patient one. He sets up this team to win, and then he just keeps it out there for way too long. He doesn't want to change it. He doesn't want to make it more attacking, more defensive. He takes too long to do something about it. Even if it's going wrong, he just waits to see if they can dominate. and impose our style on the opposition too much. And then if we're losing, it's like he doesn't know where to make the changes or who to add, because our squad, firstly, is just rubbish. Our squad is not a good enough squad anyway. So that's the issue. You can't make much changes. That bench is diabolical in terms of making dynamic changes to what he's already got out. And then, we're just not high enough quality anyway. So we've spoken about it last season. It was a thing. Away from home, we don't really play well. We're nervous. We're shy against the ambience, something that Ten Hag keeps mentioning. Away from home, we can't even implement or what he wants us to do. Step up on Harry Maguire, stepping up. Imagine trying to do that away from home, leaving all that space in behind you, and you can't make the sprints. Do you get it? All these little things gives players the temperament issue, the lack of confidence or more confidence to do what their manager's asking them to do. He spoke about this as well in press.
I hear it, but just like this is a question to everyone, because I think a part of the issue of the midfield is now impacting the opponents when it comes to shots faced. Now, we've seen this discourse. I've seen this discourse all week, probably like over the last couple of months as well. But yesterday when I was watching Sky, I couldn't believe this when I saw it. Like, I actually had to go and check to see if it was actually true. You can believe it. I had to go check to see if it was actually true. And this is facing 20 plus shots in a Premier League game. Erik ten Hag has faced 20 plus shots out of 12 games. So that's every 5 games in comparison to Arteta, Guardiola, Klopp. Bear in mind, these are managers that have been there way longer than he has. And he still has faced more shots. Yeah. Nearly all of them combined, those 3 combined, they have 13 games that they've faced 20 plus shots. And just under Erik ten Hag, Manchester United already have 12. Now, I think this is a direct domino effect of this midfield issue. I think it's a direct because number one, number two, I think another issue is the goalkeeper. I think because Manchester United started so shaky with Onana this season, a lot of opponents, we saw the Liverpool game at Anfield, they were just shooting from everywhere. Everyone comes up against Manchester United and they just shoot from everywhere because they know we got Butterfingers in goal. They know that he might not die. They know that he was low on confidence at a certain point during the season. So they do that. Now, the only question I have about this stat is, when you say faced shots, does that just mean all shots? Does that include shots blocked? Does it include shots off target? Because I don't see an issue if shots are being blocked, if you're inviting those shots, because you're dealing with it. The issue is when shots are on target. That's when the threat is. So my issue with the midfield is that it's a domino effect to other aspects of our team right now. And it's clear as day. It's so clear.
You know what it's for me though? I think the face shots, obviously, I don't know how you would specify, like you said, shots and whatnot. But someone saying that it means shots conceded, so that's fair enough. Then Lincoln Lawyer, thanks for addressing that. Listen, I see it every week, and I'm like, yo, man, it's a lot, man. And that's why I always say, I know it sounds crazy, but you should have just kept David Gea, because it's the same logic we're using with David Gea with Onana, and whether Onana saves as many shots as David Gea did still remains to be seen. I think he's done quite well last couple of games to kind of save the amount of shots he's saved in terms of, what's been put at him. He's been doing well for me personally. Do I still rate him? Probably not. But the logic of what we're doing is the same as last season. I don't know. To be fair, I need to find out the stats of how many shots we faced last season as well.
I'm sure someone can find it. I'm sure someone in the chat can let us know.
Our defense was a bit more meaner, though, to be fair. I think we had the 3rd best defense in the league last season. So clearly, Ten Hag is something has changed in that aspect. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it, Varane was out last season. We had Maguire in there. We had Lindelof. We still changed around, Marcel. We still had a makeshift back four. Luke Shaw was injured a couple of times. So, last season we had injuries, but we got away with it. And everybody wasn't complaining about injuries. But now all of a sudden, Ten Hag's system has been exposed. And actually, the flaws are evident more. Now injuries are becoming an excuse more than ever. So, yeah, man, I just look at it and I think for me, the shots are becoming too much, but all of it comes down to the transition. When you look at the amount of shots we faced this season, a lot of it is we lost the ball or somewhere we lost it, midfield exposed, and they go on the counter-attack and they somehow either scuff it or they have a good chance. They're not just out the blue shots. They're not just shots where if say now on a weekend, Kevin De Bruyne is on the edge of his box and he curls one outside the corner. And I'm like, that's individual brilliance. You can't really stop that. But guys, the way they come out and press us and then get the ball and then play out from the back. And the way it's so easy to maneuver, that's a big problem. That is a serious big problem. And that for me is the biggest point I want to take from in terms of how the context of how the shots are being taken. It's not just from normally, it's serious, bro. So yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all.
Marcel, what's your thoughts about that? Just like the idea of this shot space stuff, because I do think sometimes it's a difficult measure of defending. It's difficult to measure defending based on that. But do you agree with my idea that it's a direct impact of this gaping hole that we always seem to have in midfield, the tactical side of stuff where players are pressing 2 for 1, they're pressing very high as a result because of the fitness of the team, they can't get back. And as a result, teams are hitting us on a counter. There's so many times this season I've seen us getting hit with like a 4v3 or a 4v2 counter, and I'm surprised sometimes we don't concede from it.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, when I look at that stat, it kind of shows how gun ho Ten Hag is like, and the era that Ten Hag has come into in terms of the league, like that's 3 teams there that he's competing against at top level. He's got like 6 teams that he's competing against, whereas Klopp and Pep maybe didn't have that much of an intense competition. So then their stats over a long period of time is going to look a little bit different. His is in the rife of this league, so and he's really doing a high risk kind of formation. The way that he wants to put the 11 players out onto the pitch is extremely high risk. He needs top quality footballers. I would say it's more to do with a defense and a defensive line and a forward line issue, because you defend from the front and you attack from the back. So the turnover, the way that we set up the turnovers means that there's so much space in behind that we concede the transitions too much. And then you've got the likes of Scott McTominay in that Bournemouth game, I think it was, or am I going to say Nottingham Forest game, where Morgan Gibbs-White scores the cutback. We're looking there at ball regains. We don't have the players and temperament. And instead of going 2v1 against the winger, let Delo do the 1v1 there out by himself and focus on Morgan Gibbs-White, Scott McTominay. But because we haven't got the right player profiles in the right positions or the quality of footballer, we're making those kind of mistakes on the transitional side of the game. So you're going to face a lot more shots just based on that. They don't have the right temperament of where to be and when to be in the transition issue. The turnovers, we concede a lot of spaces in the turnovers issue. And then in the build-up, I know Saeed was saying that, last season it didn't change around that much. It changed around as well, but it didn't change around that much at all, in my opinion. I think we had a quite solid back four to a degree, and they didn't really try to implement this style that they're implementing this season. It was more of a Ole kind of football with a bit of Ten Hag principles and passing rotations in the first season. This season now, he's really trying to get them to play in the opposition's half. But again, it's just been decimated with injuries. So sometimes you've even seen him revert back to the Ole ball or just to be conservative. I don't know how we're even judging this season. It's been a madness. But anyway, the back line is an issue for his attacks. And because we don't have a consistent back line, we can't attack, because you attack from the back. You do your build-ups. We haven't even had a consistent back four to make any sort of consistent build-up pattern or anything. So...
Can I ask you something quickly though?
How can we? No, but hold on. Why are we letting this slide? By the way, Mina? Why are we letting this? The guy said we can't judge this season. Why can't we? So we just writing off the season, Marcel? Are you basically saying write off the season? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm very close to saying that because it's like when you look at the injuries of the team side, we already knew we wasn't going to win the Premier League. We wasn't going to win the Premier League. Was we going to win the Premier League? We wasn't going to win.
If we're not winning the Premier League, we should just write off every season.
No, it's not. No. Because the reason why I'm not, and the reason why I'm saying I'm very close, because I still have the target that we should mark him to, as always. Like as he always said when he came into the job, he said top 4 is what he needs to go for, and trophies. And if he still delivers top 4 or Europe, then it's not right off the season. But that feels like writing off the season, especially if we're trying to put our feelings into, the SAF era and who we should be or where we should be.
Tomorrow, if we lose, the season is done anyway. Season's done.
Big up to Naved says, Haaland hat-trick, we are dead. So yeah, City are winning again.
Yeah, I know.
We can beat City. I don't know why everyone's so scared of City. We can beat them.
Do you think we can? Because I got we do Friday, Marcel. 8 o'clock.
Pardon?
I got Hamza coming on my
Wait,
channel, Man City
Is it?
fan. We're doing a preview
Oh,
episode.
Hamza,
So you
yeah,
can jump on if you're free. You can jump
I
on.
might have to. I might have to.
I'm not that confident, but can I just say, yeah, you raised the interesting point about the structural problem in our starting 11 because of the players' ability. But don't you think the manager should change the way he plays to accommodate to the players that he has at his disposal?
So, yeah,
Because
and
that's
you
a big
made
problem right now.
yeah, and you made that point on Twitter, and it's a good point. But then he doesn't appease the fans that want to see a style of football like how Saeed. So what he's doing right now is he's starting as he means to go on for once. But then every time he puts out this team in his image, he loses 2-1 against Fulham, or because they're not good enough players to implement his style. If he decides to go and play a style of football that suits these footballers, it's pragmatic football. What are we talking about? Mourinho, Ole, all like this is a lot of them is their purchases or the core of it, especially when it's injured, especially when the team is injured. Half of Ten Hag's purchases are injured usually. So then he automatically has a load of counter-attacking footballers or pragmatic footballers in front of him that he's been trying to teach, front foot, play in the opposition's half football, gegen pressing kind of football. That's what he's been trying to teach these guys. But again, they're not good enough. That's what, and all it's going to take is the next manager to try and implement their style and see it again, and it's just going to continue. It's going to continually be like that. INEOS have to prove something to us, guys. They have to be able to come in here.
You're saying you've said this a few times, and we talk about this all the time about how INEOS have to prove something, but INEOS are coming in. They've got a clean slate. Ten Hag doesn't. Ten Hag doesn't because he's spent money in 2 transfer windows. On top of that, obviously, last season, some people say he hasn't got credit in the bank for last season. I think, he should. But the issue of having credit in the bank from last season is that United weren't good from Carabao Cup final onwards. I would say maybe Barcelona was the last. Basically, this time last year, guys, where we got slapped 7-0 by Liverpool, it's literally in a few days, it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of that. So I don't think United.
1-year anniversary.
1 year. When we play City on Sunday, that is the first Sunday of March. We got slapped by Liverpool on the first Sunday of March. Can I just put that out there? But back to the point is that we haven't been good in over a year. But for me, it's like
actually not that deep.
You don't think it's that deep?
Nah. Like that 7-0 was a massive highlighting of the lack of quality within the team and the temperament and the capitulation.
No. There's no justification, no, Marcel. Don't
do
this.
The starting 11? Let's look at the starting 11 because that was mostly Ten Hag's team. That was mostly Ten Hag's team in that starting 11.
If just like I don't even know how to articulate it, but just like at the beginning of most of the managers' processes, when they get these kind of losses, at the end of their process, most of the players won't be there. And that's mostly the same thing for that 7-0 team. Most of that team, if Ten Hag gets to about 2 or 3 years from now, most of that team will not be there. That I can guarantee that. So it's not. It would Ten Hag tried to play the front foot in that game, and then it was all right for 30 minutes, and then they just complete. Yes, it is, and I'm not. And maybe it's an understatement. Maybe I retract what I'm saying. It is that deep. It is. It was a piss take. But what I'm trying to say is that it was more. There's things to take from that we understand from what happened in that game, in my opinion, anyway.
Saeed, where do you think Ten Hag? Obviously we know you want Ten Hag out. It's not a secret. But in terms of the season, and maybe obviously because Marcel made a very strong opinion that INEOS have something to prove to us rather than Ten Hag having something to prove to them. Do you agree with that?
No. I do agree with certain aspects, but I don't believe in that notion that Ten Hag, they have to prove it to Ten Hag or whatnot. Like Ten Hag's a dead man walking. He's a guy who is, for me, is capped in what he's given us. I feel like it's really, really, the players are at the end of the tether. I think the fans have just seen too much. We've been exposed to too much. We've been exposed to too many flaws. I think INEOS are coming in with a fresh mind. They have got all the keys right now. They've got the keys, and they will dictate to what goes on next. And ultimately, fans will have to be patient in that aspect. Fans will have to understand that they will deliver their own way, and we have to, take part in that and see what happens. But yeah, man, this idea that Ten Hag holds the keys and it's still in Ten Hag, it's not. It really, really isn't. And they've looked at it and think he's 19 months into his reign. He really, really is. 19 months into his reign. We've regressed from last season. They will look at that. They've got all the analytics. They've got look at the position we're in right now. Champions League football is a must. I think the problem is, Marcel thinks that time, even without Champions League football, they should keep him, and that's crazy as well for you to think that, Marcel, that even without Champions League football, he could survive under INEOS because that's what they want. They want Champions League football as well as the whole product of they know that you are doing something. Someone said it on Twitter, Eric Ten Interim. That's what he's called now.
People are saying if you look at Eric Ten Hag as an interim manager, it'll make you feel better about the season. That's what people are saying. They're saying look at him as I think that's disrespectful because he's not interim. He's not interim. He's a manager.
Eric 10 days. Eric 10 matches. How many matches we got left this season? Is it 10 matches this season left? Let me see.
Just over that, I think. Just over that.
Yeah. Well, wait till he gets to Eric 10, then it'll be Eric 10 matches. Remember they used to laugh at us when he used to say Eric 10 months and all of this. Like, bro, people
and he turned that around. What was like there's been a period when we've been out of the Champions League before. When was that? Was that under Ole? That was just before? That was Ten Hag's first season, like the game where he comes. Is that
last season we weren't in the camps?
So last season we got in the Champions League.
Yeah, so I just feel like we've been that is something that's happened to us before. Like,
but more than ever now with FFP and with the situation with financially, they're looking at sustainability as well. Like they can't spend what they probably would ideally want to spend if they have Champions League football. And also, just naturally, man, you want to be in the best competition. There's no justification for Aston Villa, I'm sorry, being there ahead of us. Yeah, they've got a good manager, they've got good players, they've got system. Tottenham with the first season of Ange being in there, like it should not be happening. Especially now that Aston Villa are 8 points clear of us. Tottenham, with all due respect, will probably beat Crystal Palace this week, sorry. So that's 6 points, going to be 6 points. And we're not going to win our game, let's be honest. And then that's 6 points. So I look at everything going for Ten Hag. And then it's Everton the week after. Is they not really confident about that? Like, it just, for me, just sounds a lot of like wishful thinking that top four is done. I think everyone's just checked out, man. Most United fans have checked out for the season mentally. They're just kind of like understanding what's going on with the ownership situation. It's probably the wrong timing for Ten Hag. It probably is the worst timing for Ten Hag. Had INEOS came in when they were meant to come in last summer, I think maybe Ten Hag would probably still be in a job right now. But the fact that it's come to now and they now Omar Barada's coming and now Anne Ashworth's coming in and it's happening while the season's going on, you're under severe pressure now. Severe pressure.
I'll be real. I checked out Galatasaray. Galatasaray at home is when I checked out this season. And that's October. That's before I went to Umrah, before I went to pilgrimage.
Wild.
I said, I'm on my way to pilgrimage. I'm going for a spiritual journey. I can't with this season anymore. And I think Marcel's one of the few people I actually know that still has faith that we could get something in the season. And Marcel is literally one of the few people that I think still believes that we could get top four. Big up to Lincoln Lawyer with the super chat, says, Marcel, respect for you from time you said time don't exist. But what other manager would you take with the INEOS reset?
I've said this. It's well documented. De Zerbi said this months ago. I even understand Ten Hag leaving. Don't get it twisted. I've already said this again, and I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like, I understand that everything. If I was in the position INEOS in, I would change everything. But at the same time, in the same breath, to me as a fan, I'm thinking to myself, they need to prove can they purchase Premier League quality with upside potential, something that wasn't done before. Can we trust them to purchase players in the market? Something that hasn't been done before anyway, at a good level anyway. So there's two things there that they have to be able to do. Can they implement a successful structure, or at least the beginnings of it? That's something that they have to prove that is shown and working in progress. They have a manager that's capable of doing that by himself and under a structure. He's already very capable, and he's been to a degree successful in European competition and domestically. Just have to give him time, guys, and look at how barren this season has been. Also, is Aston Villa and Tottenham's squad, their 25-man squad, especially Aston Villa's then specifically, is their 25-man squad better than ours?
No, on paper, no.
I think Tottenham's 11 is probably good as anyone's, man. Can't lie to you. Tottenham's full 11 when they play their first team. I think it matches United. You know, I can't lie to you. But as a whole squad, we should be more consistent. Like that's what happens is because their style is so good, they've been able to have more consistency than Man United. That's what builds results, style, and that's why you see Aston Villa. Yeah, they've had a few defeats here and there, but when you look at it, they're still playing the same way. Look at their goal for. Did you watch their goal against Nottingham Forest? The way they played out from the back, and just
everyone touched the ball. Every player took a touch.
Everyone touched the ball, so they believe in what they do. You know, they might get a few results here and there, but they believe in what they do. You know, so that is a massive, massive thing for them. So, you know, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
We talk about quickly just on the idea of 10 or more players leaving in the summer. I think I'm going to give my opinion. Then I want to hear what you have to say. I've just actually dropped a keep or sell video. I dropped it like an hour ago. So go check that out after the stream.
Check it out.
Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Make sure we get at least 100 likes. We're not that far off. We're like 19 off. If you want to send in super chats with your comments, questions, etc., you can do that and it can support the growth of the channel. And if you want to join the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, emojis, and like I said, you get to support the growth of the channel. But like I said, it's reported by Samuel Luckhurst yesterday, and this is something that we're hearing all the time about Manchester United having a clearance sale in the summer. I'm a bit skeptical about whether they actually know the players they want to get rid of yet, just because, you know, the CEO hasn't even come in, the DOF hasn't even come in, the head of recruitment and academy and all of that stuff haven't even come in. So how do they know exactly who they want to get rid of? But I think that number 10 is the magic number here. I think it's a buffed up number because that 10 includes players like Donny van der Beek, Facundo Pellistri, Hannibal Mejbri, academy players that probably were not going to be part of the squad anyways, Alvaro Fernandez, etc. Obviously, then you can talk about Maguire, maybe McTominay. I think that this is probably controversial. I think Man United should sell Marcus Rashford this season or in the next. This season or in the next. Out of Bruno and Rashford, I think Rashford is probably the more sellable one at the moment just because of age, because of profitability. Obviously, his salary will be difficult to get rid of. I think Bruno is not the future for Manchester United in that creative role. Could he play maybe a deeper role in that 8? Some of his best performances last season actually came in that deeper role. But who do you, out of Marcus Rashford and Bruno and probably like Maguire, who do you think is more likely to leave this summer?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know. The problem is with Man United is though, you don't want to leave because after when your career, like you're gonna go downhill, especially these players here, like Maguire. I generally think for me, he's just gonna want to stay. You know, so it's gonna be very difficult for me to get rid of him. But unless Omar Barada comes in, like I don't believe in this manager getting rid of him or whoever's coming in. But they've got to just get rid of him and find a solution, man, because they have to go, man. A lot of these players have to go. But I think Maguire surely is up there in that aspect. Rashford is the one to watch out for because PSG need to replace Mbappe. PSG need
They're not going to get him, man. They got Xavi Simons coming back. They got Kolo Muani already.
But they need an explosive winger. They need an explosive winger.
They're saying that they might go for Rafael Leao. They might go for Rafael Leao. I don't know how likely that is, but that's possible.
Yeah, but the thing is though, Rafael Leao is going to cost. I think his release cost 135 million. I think it is. Something like that.
They got that money, bro. They got
that money, but they don't. Yeah, but then they don't. If paying that for that or playing for Rashford, which one's more better? Like Rashford, I don't know how much. How much Rashford's going to be worth? Do you reckon?
80.
I was going to say like 70, 80. Yeah,
70, 80.
What do you think?
The thing is, though, what Rashford gives Man United though is a lot of PR. They're going to think of him as a £100 million player. To their eyes, they're going to think £100 million player. You know, and also PSG have admired him for a while. So they're going to be like, yo, like, we want to pay the big money for him. So who knows? But I look at Rashford and I think, he clearly just can't be asked, like, playing for Man United. He just can't be bothered. So I'm just like, yo, if you can't be bothered, then see you later. You know what I mean? So That's where I'm at for me personally. But who knows? But I just get rid of anyone, man. Like I'm at that stage where I don't care who stays. I don't really care as long as we've got a new manager coming in, a new system, a new structure. Get everyone out, and then we go from there. If you told me the fresh Man United team coming next year, bring it on, bring it on.
Well,
Because that
that's
means
very
then,
unlikely. That's very unlikely for
well,
like 15 players
well,
to come in.
I've got no
That's unlikely.
loyalty. Okay, then I've got no loyalties to anybody leaving. Then that make it make sense. I might have certain situations where people say, "Oh, you should sell this player before that player." Nah, we could discuss that. But in terms of if certain players left and they were saying, "Right, this is what we're doing. This is our plan," then do it. But then get replacements in, though. Get proper replacements in. So
What about you, Marcel? What
yeah,
are you
it's
saying about
Mazzolini.
Bruno? 'Cause I was reading an interesting article today on The Athletic, and I'm just going to quickly share my screen just because I want to show you lot these particular graphics. I hope you should be able to see it. If you haven't read the article, it's out now on The Athletic. But this was basically about Bruno Fernandes. We've been complaining so much about, especially at the beginning of the season, about creating chances for our strikers, and we talked about previous strikers, and then obviously Rasmus Højlund's issue this season, and this is just Bruno Fernandes since 2020 to 2021 season and creating chances for his strikers. This is specifically Rasmus Højlund, Edison Cavani, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wout Weghorst. You can see the most times he was creating chances was for Edison Cavani in orange. In comparison to this season, he's played 5 passes into the box for his striker. Do you think United need to go out and find a new creative midfielder this year? Is that, because for me that's a must. I think United need a new 10. I think United have to get a new 10 somehow, whether it's shifting Bruno to a deeper role, maybe in the 8 role, and buying someone to play in the 10. We need a creative midfielder that's disciplined and responsible and creates a heap of chances, because we know that that's where you probably get the best utilization for your striker, when you're creating chances for them.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting that graphic there, and I agree with Saeed, to be honest with you. I don't have no loyalties to anyone. If anyone has to go, then so be it. Even Bruno, even Rashford. I think Maguire must go. I think Scott must go. I think Luke Shaw's on that list. Just doesn't make enough football matches in a season. Varane, I think, has a use case. I think Casemiro has to go. But we have to change the way, we utilize our number 10 going forward, instead of this directness and erraticness that the player that currently holds the position has. Mason Mount, I think, can do it. I really think Mason Mount can do the job in the 10, and I think the way he'll complement Højlund as well, because Højlund's got that run around. He's a player that just runs around, and with Mason Mount there, I think Mason Mount's somebody that can press what's in front of him, so he knows when to join the forward line to put the pressure on the centre backs, or go out into the full backs, or snatch the ball off to the central defensive midfielder. I think it could work as a partnership, 9 and 10.
Yeah, I don't know about Mason Mount, man. You already know kind of I'm very wishy-washy about him. I want him to do well. I want him to be a good signing, but I don't see it with the injuries, in my opinion, at the moment. But I do agree in the idea that Mason Mount, I think, was brought as a replacement for Bruno. I think that was meant to be the role that he kind of drifted into and kind of took as his own. Now, we got Forest tomorrow, so we're quickly going to just preview that FA Cup away from home. Wasn't a good performance the last time we went there. The last time we played them, when they came to Old Trafford in the league. Missing quite a few players. Bruno Fernandes himself is a doubt. Could possibly miss his first ever Manchester United game because of injury.
We might win.
We might win. I don't know, but I think it's crazy that he's been here for this long, and this could possibly be the first time he ever misses a game because of injury. Harry Maguire's out because of injury, but the good thing is that Casemiro will be available. Now, my biggest worry is who the hell is going to play at left back. I got a hot take. I would actually not mind playing 3 in the back. I would not mind playing 3.
He would never do that. I don't think he's ever done that, has he? Has he ever done that?
He's never done it. But the reason why I say that is because I'd rather see Amrabat playing as a left back in a back 5, because then, in build up, come into the field. Dalot could be more advanced, and it will be much easier.
Another player's abandoned as well. Another player's just abandoned. He's just abandoned.
I forgot
Amrabat.
He's not going to do that.
I saw him in Ladbroke Grove the other day. I forgot I saw it. I think I saw him in Ladbroke Grove. That's where all the Moroccans are at. But that's
chilling, just chilling.
I think a back three with it could work because if it's a back four, it's traumatic. That's traumatic. If it's Lindelof in left back, if it's I can't see it. I can't see it.
So do we is our back four good enough to defend most teams in the Premier League? Because that's what I feel like we're saying. I feel like we're almost admitting that Ten Hag has an issue with the profiles of the players in the team. He does then. Do you get it? That's what we're admitting almost, aren't we? We're saying that the quality of these centre-backs, if you line up four with what he has available right now, if you line up four of any of his chosen defenders,
but why have you got yourself into that problem? Why have you got yourself into that problem?
Injuries.
Yeah, but injuries. Some of them, by the way, he's culpable for these injuries because of the way we play. And also, you sent Reguilon back to Tottenham, where you could have kept him for the rest of the season.
Was that all on him? Is that his fault? 100%.
No, but you tell the owners. You tell the owners. Listen, I probably would rather keep him to the end of the season, but you didn't. You said you were good because Shaw is back.
And is that on his? Is that 100% on his fault? I feel like this is something that happened. I feel like this is something.
Alvaro Fernandez, that was on his watch. He could have integrated him to the team, but he didn't. He let him go.
I do hear what you're saying, but I feel like the main point is the quality of what he has to choose from right now is shocking. And this man, even knowing that, he will still set himself up to in the exact same fashion like he did in Fulham, because he has people on his neck saying they can't see a style. So he's going to play, and with beyond those people, by the way, that's just how he moves, man. I'd say he just wants to win. So he sets us up in the front foot style. I'm going to impose this 11 footballers on the opposition and dominate the game. It's that they're not good enough to do it throughout the whole game and have the temperament and the understanding to do it. So it's going to be a basketball match to a degree until we get the quality of footballer that can add control and add elements to it. You're going to see that. That's what you're going to see.
What's your predictions for the game tomorrow?
Are we better than Nottingham Forest? Is what I'd ask you guys.
You can't answer a question with a question.
Bro, answer the question, man.
We'll win the game. We'll win the game 2-1.
So you think we're better than Forest?
Yes.
No, I'm not faulting you for that, because I think we're better than Forest as well. But I think we're in a bad position at the moment. Just the way that we're playing, I just don't think it is. I don't want to use the word sustainable. It's not impressing me. It's not reassuring me that we're gonna. When was the last time we went into a game this season? I don't think I've gone into one game this season where I'm like, we are gonna win 100%. We're gonna smash the opponent. We're gonna knock them out.
Do you think that means that we're so bad at playing the way that Ten Hag wants to play that Nottingham Forest, or is that Nottingham Forest are so good at trying to play counter-attacking football and stifle us?
Nottingham Forest. It's just that we're so bad that we are not confident, bro. Nottingham Forest came to Man United, came to Old Trafford, and what did Morgan Gibbs-White say? Look at these men. They look like they don't want to be here because they don't. Already is a mentality thing.
They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. He said.
Opponents can come to Old Trafford or just up against Manchester United and just be like, they are not in a confident position right now. These lot don't want to be here. They don't want to play. They don't want to play the way that the manager's asking them to. They don't want the ball. They're going to play sloppy. They're going to give it away. So let's capitalize on that. And that's not me saying Forest are better at playing attacking football. No, they're capitalizing on the mental state of Manchester United right now. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. And I think that's a domino effect for me as to why I'm not confident going into games. Like, I'll go into the City game and not be confident. I'll go into playing Arsenal and I won't be confident. Liverpool, we still got a lot of other teams to play this season. We still got Brighton to play. We still got Newcastle to play. We still have other big games to play. And tomorrow could be, I say, the final nail in the coffin for Erik ten Hag, because if he gets knocked out of the FA Cup, we are not top 4 is going to be a dog fight. Yeah. It's going to be a dog fight. And the only way I think he can secure his job if United don't get top 4 is if he wins the FA Cup. If he wins the FA Cup. And at Manchester United, it's not always guaranteed that you keep your job when you win the FA Cup, because they sacked Van Gaal straight after it. So, but tomorrow, if United lose, and this is why I'm saying this is a must-win game, it's the FA Cup final setting. Like, it's a final setting. Because if we do not win, Ten Hag has put the final nail in the coffin for his destiny this season. Because the top 4 race is probably I think it's more difficult to win, to get into top 4 than it is to win the FA Cup. Because FA Cup, you just have to win every game. Whereas top 4, you have to win every game and hope people drop points. That's what you have to do.
Exactly.
And for that reason, tomorrow is probably the biggest. It's probably the biggest game of Ten Hag's Manchester United career. I'd even go as far to say that.
Yeah, facts. I agree. I think
What do you think the result will be tomorrow?
2-1 Forest. It's gonna be a dead game. It might go to extra time.
Is it extra time already, or is it not going to be? It's not going to be.
Extra time.
It goes straight extra time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it happened last round.
Oh, so we're at the stage in the competition then where it goes straight to extra time. It doesn't go to.
So you got to watch Ten Hag for another 30 minutes after, which is the worst thing possible that you could watch.
And Marcel, you say we're going to win. You said you're confident about City. Yeah? Just quickly, if you guys want to, I'm going to have Hamza here on the channel. Hamza, biggest crackhead. And I'll get Marcel on as well so we can have, it could be a full-out war for that stream. But you said you were confident about the City game. Before we wrap it up, why are you confident about the City game? Just, do you think that Ten Hag's going to approach it like he did?
Unbelievable.
So there's, I only think Ten Hag has to display respect for 3 teams in the league, or in his mind, he has 2 teams in the league actually, Liverpool and City. I think those are the only 2 teams where he respects massively, just because of they got blatant quality. So I think he plays pragmatic against them. You know, similar to what he done against Liverpool, he's going to deliberately say, yes, at all times it's 11 players behind the ball. And once we get the ball, we're going to try and utilize the spaces that we leave in behind them, over the top of them. And if we nearly won the game against Fulham, against Liverpool away, this season, you know, off just based on that, Kobe nearly unlocks Garnacho free, and if he does better, Garnacho arriving and approaching the goal needs to be a lot better, but he's young, so you know that Kobe Garnacho connection, we might be able to find that against City. You know, Højlund would have been a massive plus, but it might be a blessing in disguise now, because Ten Hag then definitely has to play the pragmatic football. Because Ten Hag's issue is, even at City against home, knowing that they're more superior than us, he still tries to set us up in a way to win the game. And he got a couple chances from Scott McTominay before they started scoring their goals, and it became a 3-0 game, and we're chasing the game. So I think if Ten Hag plays pragmatic early, we get 1 or 2 chances, and there's an avenue to win. If he sets up as same old Ten Hag, then halas, okay, we might lose. But it is
not
what
you
it is.
speaking Arabic, not Marcel speaking Arabic.
Ten
Hag got Marcel speaking Arabic, man. That's crazy. Big up to everyone in the chat, guys. We're a few likes away from 100, so just hit the like button on your way out. We'll be live on Saeed. We'll be live on your channel, right? At 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, yeah, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, yeah.
We'll be live on Saeed's channel at 10 o'clock, guys. So be sure to come over. And if you want me to get Marcel on here on Friday alongside Hamza, get the stream to 100 likes.
Oh,
that's
3-2.
3-2 to
Luton now.
That game's heating up. I might go catch the end of it. Guys, be sure to hit the like button on your way out, and I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be back Friday. You lot know what it is. Come over to Saeed's channel in a bit as well. Mina's in the chat for that one to make it clear that you came as a result of me, guys. You know what it is, man. Until next time, big up Saeed, big up Marcel all the time. It's your girl Mina. Peace.